Hello, everyone. Uh, Welcome. And pretty exciting news for all the ISMS practitioners around the world, and also people who are uh, interested in information security overall. So we have the new ISO 27000 to 2022 version released, and it's been long overdue because the last iteration of this standard was released a long time ago, in fact in 2013, and after that there's been a long demand for an update to the standard. So what's new in the 27002 standard? We're all pretty eager to understand. So I've had this opportunity to have a quick run through the standard and also being part of the network of people who actually are professionals who actually work on this, developing these standards. So I'm pretty excited to actually share a quick 5 to 10 minute slide pack on what's new. So let's dive into it straight away. So what's new? What do you expect in this new standard? The focus is mainly around three areas. So there's been a long demand since the last, I think, 5 years or so that we need to bring ISMS standard up to other international standards, the changes to regulations and compliance requirements around the world. So with that being said, the key focus areas of the new standard are mainly the one is information security. It always has been, and privacy has been brought into this new standard as one of the other focus areas, and along with that, cybersecurity components too. So what are those? We'll see in the next few slides. Um, Speaking of controls, the first question might be, what are the controls? What are the changes? The first question will be, because if your organization has implemented the ISO 27001:2013 standard, you're mainly interested to see what are the new controls. So in fact, 21 controls have been reduced from the previous standard. So we are moving down with the number of controls. Plus, what they have done, they have removed 21 controls and added 11 new controls. So why is this? Because some of the controls that they have removed, what they have in fact done is they have combined some of the controls into one and brought in new controls to align with the current challenges in the information security risk space, the cybersecurity risk space, and the privacy risk space. So things like controls that can suit implementations in the cloud, controls that can suit privacy regulation requirements. These are kind of changes that have been made in the standard. So it's pretty exciting, nevertheless, that they have actually considered all these new controls that add much more weightage to this standard going forward. So if this is the 27002 standard, so where is the 27001? That could be the question in your mind. Well, 27001 is coming soon. What I mean by that is they released the 27002, and obviously the 27001 Annex A controls are the ones against which you normally get you get audited. Your internal audit or external audit from the certification body is normally done on the Annex A controls. Of course, all the other mandatory controls, including your management controls, those will be applicable, but specifically around the Annex A controls, 21 controls have been reduced, 11 new controls added. That being said, so there are a total of 93 generic information security controls, and these controls are basically classified based on different themes, like organizational controls. So there are 37 controls. It's been clubbed under organizational controls, and they are, I call it generic because they don't necessarily fit under technology or physical or people controls. So that's how they have combined it as organizational controls, and basically it spreads across the organization. So that's how the terminology organizational controls. The next is technological controls. There are 34 technological controls, which kind of cover their breadth of various technologies used in an organization, with specific focus on the IT operational controls. And what I mean by that, you'll see when you purchase a standard and go a little deeper into it. Though today's session is not necessarily meant to go deep dive into the standard, that will be probably perhaps another time, or you can reach out to me individually. You can DM me or reach out through one of the other coordinates that you're going to see in this pack, and I'll be happy to walk you through those things. Now, coming to physical controls, there are 14 controls in total, which are responsible around, or focused towards ensuring that the physical information assets are protected. And coming to people controls, there are 8 controls in total, which focus on the people operations within an organization. And this includes things like employment terms and conditions, roles and responsibilities, and employee activities in an organization, and etc., etc. So that's about the theme-based classification of the clauses. And this is the high-level structure from what I think. I've just put it in, just looking at the standard, how it all fits. Obviously, the top layer that you see, introduction, scope, references, terms and definitions, structure of the standard, they kind of remain the same. And of course, there are some changes to the new definition. There are new definitions, updated definitions as well. So we'll get to that. And other than that, I've broadly classified this as organizational, people, technological controls, physical, and then there's some mapping to your previous version of 27002, the 2013 version, and of course the annexures, which basically covers reference to other standards as well. We'll look at that. So when I just mentioned about annexures, what are the other related international standards referenced in this standard? So that's also important to know, because this also answers the question as to why was this new standard required. So there's 27017 for cloud services, 27701 for privacy, ISO 27019 for energy, ISO 27011 for telecommunication organizations, and the ISO 27799 for health. So that's obviously a mouthful of standards, but nevertheless, you can see the massive change, in this 27 new standard of 27002, which compared to the previous standard. So you'll see a lot of these references included in the bibliography, or some of them are referenced in the guidance and other sections between clauses 5 to 8 of the standard. So there's obviously, as I'm speaking now, you'll see there's you understand why these changes were made and why this new standard. Moving on, some of the key definitions I want to just highlight in this session is there's chain of custody, specifically around possession, movement, handling, and location of material. Then the disruption, obviously there's nothing new, but then more specific on when is it an incident, other things. Around the cybersecurity side, they have touched upon endpoint device. Then interested party, we had always seen specifically on around stakeholders and other things. Then they've brought in PII related definitions around what is a PII and who is a PII principal. Like PII principal, they have specifically called out as per ISO IEC 29100 2011 standard with a natural person to whom the personally identifiable information relates to. So they have been very specific on these definitions here. Same thing with the PII processor, again, and then the privacy impact assessment. Overall, there's been an increased focus around data protection around the world, and obviously regulations like GDPR and the PDPA in Singapore, and several other countries like CCPA and other things. All of the privacy regulations have forced the new standard of ISO 27002 to bring in those definitions and align itself to the other privacy standards around the world. Then other things like sensitive information, user endpoint device, again, privacy, and then cybersecurity focus definitions. The 93 controls are also tagged with attributes. So different, as similar to before, there are other attributes. These are tied to attributes, 5 different attributes. Control type, information security properties like confidentiality, integrity, availability. Then they have brought in cybersecurity concepts. I think this will be quite familiar for people who have worked on the NIST standard: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Then the operational capabilities, including governance, information protection, IAM, information security, event management, information security assurance, and continuity and other things. There also around focus around the attributes around security domains, governance, ecosystem, protection, defense, and resilience. So what next? Now that you know there's a new standard on 27001 going to be coming. So what next? Don't be confused if you don't need to comply with it right away, because if your organization is currently certified on 27001 2013 standard, your certification is valid. You don't have to run around to get yourself certified on this 27002, because you can't get certified against 27002. You have to get certified against 27001. So once the new version of 27001 standard is published, your organization will definitely be given certain timeline by the certification body to implement the new controls. And then following that, internal audits, external certification audits will be based on the new standard of 27001. So until then, there's not much to do, but yes, you can obviously use this new 27002 standard to prepare your organization. You can actually implement these controls, start implementing these controls in anticipation, because then you know what is coming for your organization going forward. If you need to be recertified on 27001, you know what is coming, so you can actually prepare yourself. You can speak to your respective managers if you're a practitioner. If you're a CISO yourself, you can speak to your team. If you are in the management, you can speak to your CISO, or you can speak to your security management team, so that they'll be given a heads up on what's coming. If you're a consultant, then you know what you can advise to your clients. So all in all, you don't necessarily have to press the panic button yet, but this is just a good precursor to what's coming. That's what this whole presentation is. Where do you purchase the standard? Click on the link. You can go to iso.org and search for ISO 27002. You'll be taken to the page where you can purchase the official version of the ISO 27002 2022 version. Do you have queries on this new standard? I'd be happy to have a chat. Click on the link, https://calendly.com/djfm-CISO360. You can even type that out in your browser, and you can book a meeting with me. I'll be happy to run through what to expect with the new standard. Or go to my LinkedIn profile, connect with me, follow me on LinkedIn. There'll be more information around this standard being posted shortly. And that's just me, and a bit about my background, who I am, why am I talking about ISO 27002 now, and this is me. And thanks for your time, and look forward to hearing from anyone who has queries around the standard. Thank you.